Memoir of a Snail, directed by Adam Elliott. Well, to my pleasant surprise, there's another great animated film in 2024. I loved Look Back. That's a great anime film. And here we are with another one that also deeply moved me. Memoir of a Snail is such a different, unique type of film. It's stop motion, so it has a very distinct aesthetic. The actual aesthetic is so dark. It's so like kind of gothic. It reminds me a lot of Tim Burton, but it's mixed with like also Coraline, Wes Anderson, which is kind of an interesting combination, you know? Very distinct tone there. And what I love about it is that though the claymation isn't extremely detailed or extremely well made, you know, a lot of the imperfections are there, and I kind of like that. It has a very raw vibe to it, and like you could even see like the fingerprints on a lot of the clay. And I love how dramatic their eyes are and their expressions. Like whenever someone is crying, which happens a lot in this film, just the eyes are just so sad and so over the top, and the quivering lip. I love that detail. Those whenever someone cried, there was a quivering lip, and it was funny. It was so funny to me. But this movie is so funny and so depressing, and I think this show works because it has such a good balance. If there was no humor in this film, this film would be so dreary, such a drag, and it'd just be like, man, life sucks. Like that's the takeaway of this film. But because there's such hilarious, crude, perverted humor, the film is so entertaining. The film is very interesting, has a very interesting voice because of that. It's a memoir, and it's just this woman, this middle age, I guess, maybe late 30s, but it's kind of hard to tell. But this woman who is recounting her life, and she has an obsession with snails, and the film just starts that a very close friend of hers just passed away, and she's obviously very sad about this and mourning, and she goes to sit outside with all her snails and stuff, and she just starts to talk about her life. And that's the film, her recounting her life since birth up until this point. And I thought the film was so wholesome, so endearing, so hilarious, so dark. The film has a lot of dark humor, and it was just like I said earlier, just such an interesting voice of how to express all this and how to express living a life with so much sadness and depression and so much unfair things happening, and how you deal with that and how do you make sense of that in this life. And I thought the film did a great job articulating these ideas and going through this journey with her of self-love and realization. And there's also a lot of interesting and hilarious side characters. The film is pretty ordinary, it's like hyper ordinary, but every character has like their own quirks and their own vices, and they have like very interesting, weird lives. And like pretty much no one in this film is normal. It's like one of those things where it's like define normal. Everyone is a little weird, and I feel like that's what this film does. Like someone appears plain, appears either plain, boring, or they appear like a normal Christian church-going person, and then you learn more about them, and there's always something else behind that, whether it be malicious, funny, weird, or just amusing. And I think this film does a really good job of doing that. And I just found the film so endearing, so feel good while still being so depressing. And like again, this film, it's a very sad story, but with a good way of making sense of a sad life at the end. And I thought the film executed that. You know, it wasn't like a simple dumb response of blind hope of like, don't worry, someday like your time will come, you'll get your break. Like just like fool's hope, I feel. And I think some films try to give you that easy answer, and it's just kind of like, well, that doesn't really help someone going through depression, but okay. And I thought the film did that pretty well. Yeah, I think all weird people into darker things would get something out of this film and feel seen, feel heard, feel comforted, or just plain amused, entertained. You know, sometimes that's all you need from a film. And I think this film does that, and it's a great animation film. And I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nominated for an Oscar, honestly. We'll see. There was a pretty good amount of animated films this year, so we shall see. And it has a very interesting tone, as I said. Kind of reminded me of Benjamin Button a little bit, just because of the whole memoir aspect of it all and living a extraordinary life, yet ordinary life. A very human story, you know. But yeah, I highly recommend this film. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen it or if you've even heard of it. I wouldn't doubt it if many people haven't even heard of this film. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Hope you guys watch it. Let me know your thoughts on the film, and thanks for watching.